And Andy, good morning to you.
Morning, Ger.
So, Quigley, we were just watching a bit of the fight back there. A bit rusty after time out of the ring. Natural enough that you'd be a bit rusty?
Yeah, but he seemed to want to make a statement, you know, the way he fought. He was very aggressive and he was loading up with a lot of big shots, like looking for the knockout. And as he said, Cruz's head was pretty solid. And I didn't seem to be getting any, you know, any leeway out of those headshots. So he found a way in going to the body. It was interesting, you know, he talked about the Ingle gym, how they'd use a lot of body sparring. They would do, you know, do rounds of just where you can only punch from, you know, below the chin.
Why?
I don't know what the tactic is in that. One would be good conditioning for your body. It would, and maybe you learn how to block shots and condition being hit in the stomach, but and maybe just to save punishment from taking shots to the head. I know from other Ingle fighters, that's what they do, a lot of that. And it seemed to have worked to his benefit there, that he caught Cruz with two very good body shots, really hurt him and stung him.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a great win. Come back after a year off, naturally there's going to be some ring rust and some frustration, and you can see he wanted to work that out in the fight. And to get a stoppage of a guy who's never been stopped before, you know, only one loss, and he won 10 of his fights by KO. It's a big result for Jason Quigley.
If you're managing Quigley now, what pace do you want to, because he's changed, because he's moved countries, because he's got a new trainer, do you slow things down or do you accelerate him through a couple of...
No, I think keep at the pace he's going in terms of fighting these. Maybe in the next, you know, have another fight similar to this, just to get fully rid of the ring rust, and also have time to adapt to training with Dominic Ingle, and then maybe fight a couple of ex-champions, you know, guys who are on the slide, older guys who are just looking to get a payday, you know, who just want to trade in on the name and get it paid to fight an up-and-coming young fighter, and then see where he's at, because those guys, he'll get invaluable experience fighting those type of fighters, you know, and then maybe step up to contender. So I think carry on like this for a year, fight a couple of, you know, good names towards the end of the year, and then next year look to break into the top 5, top 10 of the world rankings, you know. But he's definitely on the right track. He's got the talent, he has the ability, and as long as he keeps working hard, he can go all the way, Jason.
Does a year out like that in the middle of your career, I mean, it has to focus your mind a bit, and it has to also make you look around and think about things and maybe appreciate a little bit more that this is a very tenuous career.
He said himself how fragile a boxing's career is. So hopefully he's taken stock and realised that, you know, his period of time is short, and that although you don't want to rush things, he has to, you know, make it count, make the days count. And I'm sure it's given him good time to, you know, take stock and see what's around him, see the other fighters, and see if he wasn't boxing where his life would be, you know, where he would go. And I think he very much wants to stay in boxing after the year out, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard not to see the trajectory still rising, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, and especially with him coming out of the amateurs with such a big name, and coming off a great win like that, I'm just sure he himself will want to push on. But it's down to having a good manager and a good trainer, just to say, look, we'll not that he's not able to mix it with the best yet. You know, if he was to spar any of those top champions, Golovkin, Billy Joe Saunders, he's sparring Billy Joe Saunders now, I'm sure he's holding his own, but it's always different in a fight, and when there's fight pressure on. So sometimes you just have to, you know, hold in the reins and just hold him back for a little bit, and then when he's ready, let him loose.
Yeah, okay, so it's about building that up. Well, let's talk a bit about Ryan Burnett before we get to the big boxing story overnight. Burnett at the weekend wins with a broken hand. It's one of those kind of, like, it's a mixed blessing in that you win the fight and you display all the characteristics of a true champion, but you break your hand in a fight. It's like, shit, is that going to happen again?
And cut again, you know. The same cut seems to open just above the eye. He calls it the Harry Potter scar. But look, he didn't take much punishment in the fight. To me, you can always break your hand anytime in any fight, even in training. It can happen. You know, your hand's not made to be punched repeatedly, punching, and especially when you have those small 10-ounce gloves on, it can always happen. So I don't think it's a problem or worry about it reoccurring, as long as he has time to let it heal.
Yeah.
He won the fight, and to me, he didn't take a lot of punishment, so that was a good thing. Like, And people might have said he wasn't so impressive, but when you consider that he had a broken hand, that puts it into a whole different category, you know, and this puts a whole different perspective on the fight. And I thought he boxed a very smart fight, and even the fact that he had a broken hand, he didn't show any signs of having a broken hand during the fight, which is also commendable, you know. And he didn't really look to make excuses during the fight. He was very focused, determined, and thought he was going to win the fight. And to me, he didn't take a lot of punishment, which was, after his last 2 fights, that was important also, because he'd had some wars in his last 2 fights, and he just needed to have one fight where he saw it out, got the win, got the payday, and moved on to the next one, you know, the next bigger fight.
What's the go-to tactic when you have an injury like that?
Try not to show it, which he did well. Don't let your opponent know you have an injury like that. And if it's whatever hand it is, just use the other hand. It's pretty simple.
Stupid question.
But you could punch to the body. If you have to throw it, punch to the body.
Okay.
Don't punch to the head. Just punch to the body.
Because there was a sense that he was almost inviting the opponent on a little bit. I saw people on Twitter actually saying, this Ryan Burnett guy is really cocky and stuff, but that wasn't the case at all. It was just kind of like, he needed to invite him in.
And I think he wanted to find some way of trying to still impress without going, you know, extending himself and damaging the hand more. And by inviting the guy in to punch, because the guy was being quite negative, Parejo. So by inviting him in to punch, Ryan could also counter him and then hurt him, maybe have double the impact of a punch. So maybe that was just some tactic. But Ryan, you know, he's in there. He's a little bit of a narcissist, not narcissist, but what can I say? Masochist. He wants to fight. You know, he wants to tear it up, and again, he needs to be protected from himself sometimes as well. You know, and just box smart. And in the end, he did.
And what happens now? Because like, he's ranked number 2 in the world in super bantamweight. Jamie McDonnell is the number 1. Like, is that a fight that he has to take at some point sooner?
Yeah, Jamie McDonnell's going to Japan to fight Eoin, the Japanese fighter, and that's a real tough fight for Jamie McDonnell. So the problem is, not the problem is, just taking these fights at the right time for Ryan, because he's still only 25, and he's still an improving fighter. To me, he's still learning a game, and he's still improving, and with all these fights, he'll be gaining valuable experience. If Jamie McDonnell goes to Japan and gets the win, then certainly I would say take the fight with Jamie McDonnell. If Eoin wins, then I would say maybe wait a fight or 2, and because I think it'd be very hard to tempt him out of Japan. Yeah. So I would say just wait, build your profile, and maybe they will offer Ryan crazy money to go to Japan and take the fight. So maybe, you know, once he has a few more wins, a few more paydays in purses in his bank account, and he can roll the dice and go to Japan.
Are these purses decent at the moment?
I think so, yeah. I think so, especially I think that was I don't know, we don't want to put a figure on it. But I think fighting on Anthony Joshua undercard in front of that many people, pay-per-view, it should have been his best payday.
Okay, so and that's what you want.
Yeah, I know for a fact he's bought himself a house now. He drives a nice little car, and he seems to be enjoying all the rewards from his hard work.
Yeah, and fair play to him, because that's exactly what, you know.
That's we know his backstory, that living homeless for a while and tough times he's had with his father. Yeah. And that's all he really wants, is to secure his future and to be comfortable.
And it's a really difficult career, and you just want to make sure that everybody comes out the other side of it. So Canelo and Triple G ain't going to happen, at least. So just to recap, if anybody missed this, Canelo tries some steak, and the steak, it turns out, well, that's just a bit dodgy, and he failed a test. And everybody's like, wow, how unlucky are you that you had that bit of poisoned steak that tips you over the line and makes you fail a test. And everybody goes, oh, well, that's unfortunate. That's his story anyway, and he's sticking to it for now.
A multi-millionaire and you're fully aware of former fighters and former all athletes in Mexico seem to be testing for this contaminated meat. And
it's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah, and like he's got a team of about 25 people, Canelo. Surely one of them would have the sense to say, oh, let's just import our steak.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if we can afford it, you know, we can go to, you know, Carl's Chop House and get the proper steaks. We don't need to go to, you know, down the road. But anyway.
Apparently it makes the beef way better, though, or something like that.
Here's the thing: he's been told, and this is all back channel and off the record, and it's reported that he's been told if he accepts the 1 year ban that's being suggested, they'll knock 6 months off it and backdate it, so he'll be able to fight in August.
Yeah, the tests go back to February, mid-February, so he'd be available, and so he'd just get back in training.
Like nothing ever happened.
And yeah, everyone just forgets it and sweeps it under the carpet. Like, he's coming out with big statements, hoping that his name won't be tarnished and that he's always been a clean fighter. But once you test positive, there'll always be the shadow of doubt, the cloud above you, I think. So no matter where you go, there will always be an asterisk beside your name after that you've tested positive. And I don't know, there's some funny photos, like what they call memes, where going on, where you see like a skinny cow and then a big cow like this, and then you see a skinny Canelo on at light middleweight, welterweight. Now you see him at middleweight, and I don't know. It's a shame, but it's just so much money involved in this fight, and there's a huge demand for it.
And it's going to happen in the summer.
Even Golovkin, even though he's come out and he's kind of said a few things, he's getting a bit nasty, but he's not fully condemned Canelo, said I won't fight a drug cheat, because he knows himself, he wants the payday himself. You know, there's huge money in this fight. You're talking about,
how much money are you talking about for those guys?
Well, I think there was 27 million split between the two of them after the first fight. So that's huge, you know, and this fight would likely to do more, maybe 35 million between the two of them. And
more, obviously.
That's life-changing, you know, settle down, never have to leave any grandchildren, never have to work again, you know, that kind of stuff. So
and more for Triple G, obviously, because he's the...
Should be now, and especially with this whole test, it will give him more power in negotiating.
And can I make the case that actually more people will tune into this fight to see the drug cheat?
Probably, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It adds
But you know, like, there's never really, like, the good guy never really, like, to me, I think so. I think in the rematch, Canelo was the favourite. I think so. And now, like, everyone will be tuning in to see him get beat. You know, he'll be the pantomime bad guy, and he'll go on and win the fight, I think.
So this actually has had a positive impact in many ways for Canelo, in that Triple G has a fight. We don't know who he's going to be against and what level of difficulty.
He's older already. Golovkin had a lot more miles on the clock, and he's going to have a lot more miles on the clock.
Canelo comes back after doing who knows what for 6 months training, and probably wins that fight, and then is the bad guy that everybody wants to see get beaten. And so the next fight after that is also a super fight.
He becomes the Mayweather, the bad guy Mayweather.
Yeah.
So do you only get tested when you're in training? So obviously Canelo isn't in training at the moment, so he won't get tested for the next 6 months?
Yeah, it depends on which, like, he's promoted himself as being a clean athlete, and that he's always used VADA testing, and he's had 90-something tests throughout his career. This has been the only time he's had any fail, but that can, like, you know yourself, the level of sophistication with these tests, and it can always be manipulated in and out of.
Lance Armstrong, you know, of course, famously always said he never failed a test, although he did fail a couple.
So, yeah, it's only when you're in training camp and, you know, you have your whereabouts, and I suppose if they're training in Mexico somewhere, they'd be quite hard to reach, you know. They could be quite mobile. I don't know. It's just, to me, the less said about, like, for me, it's my sport, and I hate to hear when this happens. Especially, he's probably he's the highest profile fighter in world boxing. You know, I know Anthony Joshua's big over this side, but he's, in terms of world boxing, Canelo Alvarez is the biggest. And to fail a test, and as I said last week, in a sport like boxing, you're putting someone's life at risk when you're taking PEDs. It's criminal.
Would you have got the fight against Triple G, do you think?
I've had a few tweets saying, Andy, come out of retirement, you should have stayed active. I'm sure you're kicking yourself now. But no, I might have. It's all hypothetical, you know. Who could have been hit by a bus walking on the street? So who knows how I stayed training. But no, I'm happy, and I'm not even tempted or even looking back.
There's no regrets.
Exactly. So I probably would have been in with a shout. It might have been a phone call to say, is he ready? Is he in training? Am I in training? But no, I'm happy with it and not even thinking about that.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Yeah.
So we'll see. There's a few names mentioned, as we've said. Spike O'Sullivan's been mentioned, and also Sergei Deverchenko's been mentioned. So we'll see. Who it depends on. I suppose it depends on Golovkin. Will he look to take an easy fight, or will he look to take a, you know?
Are they all easy fights though in comparison to Canelo? Of course they are, but like, what's the level of difference here?
No, I don't. I think at the top level there'll be some, like, it'll all be wear and tear on your body for Golovkin. Like, there's no ones where he'll walk out there and bang him over in a round. And he'll have to go through, you know, obviously he'll have to go through the punishment of training camp, which he's already doing. but he'll have to go in there and take some shots. But yeah, comparatively, compared to Canelo, that'd be a lot easier.
Right. Okay.